Is my screen visible and voice audible? Okay, so I don't know how it got disconnected. We were discussing about frequency and the frequency distribution. So frequency, as I have told you, the number of times a particular value has been repeated, and frequency distribution means a frequency distribution is a graphical or a tabular representation of the frequencies, that is the number of times a particular value is repeated. So technically defining, frequency distributions are visual displays that organize and present frequency count so that the information can be interpreted more easily. So yes, Abhi, as you can see, I have given you this example: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 5, 1, 2. अगर मैंने इस तरह से कुछ आपको सेट ऑफ डेटा दिया है, इट इज नॉट इजी फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड कौन सा नंबर किस तरह से कितने टाइम्स रिपीट हो रहा है. बट अगर इसी डेटा को इफ आई प्रेजेंट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ अ फ्रीक्वेंसी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, देन दिस डेटा विल बी ऑर्गेनाइज्ड. दिस डेटा will, the information given in this data will be more easily understandable, and it can be interpreted more easily. A frequency distribution refers to the data classified on the basis of some variable that can be measured, such as price, wages, age, etc. The term variable refers to the characteristics that varies in amount or magnitude in a frequency distribution. So a variable, जैसे हम बोल रहे हैं, the number of times a value has been repeated. अब वह value किसका repeat हो रहा है? कोई variable होगा, उसी का value repeat हो रहा है. So वो variables कितने type के हो सकते हैं? Those variables can be of two types, either a continuous variable or a discrete variable. Now, continuous variable. Continuous variable means a variable which can take any value between the other two values. For example, if I say height or temperature. So height, if somebody's height is 5 inches, so it will not directly go to 6. It will move. It will take all the values between this range, 5, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, and so on up to 6. Or we can say, for example, weight. If somebody's weight is 50 kg and after 3 months, that person's weight has increased to 60 kg. So वो ऐसा नहीं होगा कि 50 से directly 3 months के बाद 60 kg पे jump किया. It will take all the values between this range, 50 kg to 60 kg, 50.1, 50.5, 50.8, 51, 52 point something, 53 point something, 54 point something. इस तरह से by assuming all the values between this range, it will go till 60. So this is called as a continuous variable. Same way, temperature का example, temperature is increasing or decreasing. तो वो directly 5 degrees या 4 degrees एक साथ increase या decrease नहीं होता है. It will assume all the values between that range. Now, this continuous type of data or continuous variable, excuse me, this is not obtained by counting. हम इसको count नहीं कर सकते. For example, time है, हम उसे count नहीं कर सकते. Height है, we cannot count that height. Weight है, हम उसे count नहीं कर सकते. But what we can do, we can measure all these things. So the continuous variables are obtained by numerical measurements, not by counting. Second type of variable is discrete variable. So discrete variable is just opposite of continuous variable. Discrete variable is one which can vary only by finite jumps. मतलब वो कुछ specific values ही है that it can assume. For example, number of children in a house. A number of children in a house can be 2 or 3 or 4 or 10. But it cannot be 2.5, 3.7, 10.1, 11.6. वो इस तरह के नंबर्स नहीं हो सकते. नंबर ऑफ रूम्स इन अ हाउस, number of telephone calls per unit time, number of accidents in a area, number of printing mistakes. So ये सब क्या है, एक finite value ही ले सकते हैं, finite jumps ही हो सकते हैं, हर value assume, they cannot assume each and every value, so they are known as discrete variables. And opposite to continuous variable, this type of variable, discrete variable, is obtained by counting. So continuous variable means which can assume all the values between the two values, and it is obtained by measurement, numerical measurement. And opposite to that, discrete variable is one which can vary only by finite jumps, and it can be obtained by counting. Any doubt to anyone here? Anyone? Okay. Now here, this is the example of discrete and continuous frequency distribution in front of you. So as you can see here, this is the discrete frequency distribution, means number of children and number of families. So the families having 0 children are 10. The families having 1 children are 40. The families having 2 children are 80. The families having 3 children are 100, and so on. So एक finite values ही assume कर रहे हैं, हर एक value assume नहीं कर सकते हैं. Opposite to that, this is a continuous variable. Weight and the number of persons. So those persons whose weight are between 100 to 110, मतलब वो 100 से लेके 110 एक रेंज आपके पास है, and it can assume any value. किसी का वेट 100 भी हो सकता है, 100.5 भी हो सकता है, 101.7 भी हो सकता है, 108.6 भी हो सकता है, कुछ भी वेट हो सकता है. ऐसे पर्सन्स कितने, उनकी फ्रीक्वेंसी क्या है? The frequency is 10. So number of persons whose weight is in between 110 to 120 kg is 15, like this way. This is the example of discrete and continuous frequency distribution. Now, let us understand how to make this discrete frequency distribution, and then we will study about continuous frequency distribution. So, for formation of discrete frequency distribution, step number 1. In the first column, place all possible values of variables from the lowest to the highest. So whatever data is given to you in question, you have to arrange that data from lowest to the highest. Prepare a column of tallies. Put a bar or vertical line opposite to the particular value to which it relates. To facilitate counting, blocks of 5 bars are prepared and some space is left in between each block. Now, first column we will be writing the values of the variables starting from lowest to the highest. Second column में हम क्या करेंगे, हम tally marks draw करेंगे. Tally marks मतलब इस तरह की lines. और क्या करेंगे, to facilitate counting, कि हमारी counting easy रहे. जैसे ही 4 tally marks हो जाएंगे, हम 5th tally mark इस तरह से cross करके draw करेंगे. Then again we will start like this. So इससे क्या होगा, counting easy होगी. This full set is a 5 tallies, 6, 7, 8. और अगर इस तरह से हम ड्रॉ करें 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this counting will be difficult. So what we do? We draw 4 tally marks, and then with 5th we cross like this. Again we will start with 1, 2, 3, 4. With 5th we will draw like this. Step number 3, count the number of times a particular value is repeated, which is called the frequency of that class. So in last column, we will count the number of tally marks, and that will represent the frequency of that particular value. Now, let us understand these steps with the help of example. In a survey of 35 families in a village, the number of children per family was recorded and the following data obtained. So this data is given to you. Okay. Represent the data in the form of a discrete frequency distribution. Okay. Now, as per the first step, in the first column, place all possible values of variables from lowest to the highest. So just look at this data. The lowest value is 0 and the maximum value is 12. 0 से छोटा कोई नेगेटिव में वैल्यू डेफिनेटली नहीं हो सकता है और 12 से बड़ी कोई वैल्यू हमारे पास नहीं है. सो फर्स्ट कॉलम में हमने नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन मार्क किए स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम 0 till 12. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. And in second column, we will draw the tally marks. Tally marks हम कैसे draw करेंगे? First number is 1. So 1 कहाँ है? 1 के सामने एक tally mark draw किया. Second number is 0. 0 के सामने एक tally mark. Then we have 2. So 2 के सामने एक tally mark. Then we have 3. 3 के सामने. Then we have 4. Then we have 5. Then we have 6. Then we have 7. 7 के बाद we have 2. So one more tally mark here. Then we have 3. So one more tally mark here. Then we have 4. One more. Then we have 0. So 0 के सामने एक और tally mark. Then we have 2. Then we have 5. Then we have 5. Then we have 8. Then we have 4. Then we have 5. Then we have 12. Then we have 6, 3, 2, 9. Sorry, we have this 7. Then we have 6. Then we have 5. Then we have 3. Then we have again 3. So you can see here in front of 3, we have already drawn 4 tally marks. With 5th tally mark, we will cut like this. Then next number is 7. Then we have 8. Then we have 9. Then we have 7. Then we have 9. Then we have 4. Then we have 5. Then we have 4. So cut किया 4 से. Then we have 3. Okay. So as you can see, अब कितने tally marks हो गए? 0 के सामने we have 2. In front of 1, we have only 1. In front of 2, we have 4. In front of 3, this 5 tally marks and 1, 6. This is 5. This is also 5. Then we have 3. Then we have 4, 2, 2, 0, 0 and 1. And the total is 35. This is called discrete frequency distribution. Any doubt to anyone here?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Next we have is continuous frequency distribution. So before starting with continuous frequency distribution, there are certain things which needs to be clear, certain points we have to consider. First is class limits. The class limits are the lowest and the highest value that can be included in the class. For example, take the class limit 20 to 40. The lowest value of the class is 20 and the highest is 40. अब जब हम continuous frequency distribution बनाएंगे, so हमारे पास data किस form में होगा? In the form of class intervals 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. So first term is class limit. Class limit means हम किसी भी क्लास में सबसे मिनिमम कौन सा वैल्यू इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं और सबसे मैक्सिमम कौन सा वैल्यू इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं. सो दिस 20 to 30, if you consider this class 20 to 30, then this 20 is the lowest value of the class and this 30 is the highest value of the class. These are known as class limits. Then we have class interval. The difference between the upper and the lower limit of the class is called the class interval. Now, this value is called lower limit. This is called lower limit, and this value is called upper limit. Okay. Now, what is class interval? The class interval is defined as the difference between the upper and the lower class limit. So class interval क्या हो गया? 30 minus 20 is 10. Upper limit minus lower limit. Class intervals में जो difference है that is known as, आपकी जो दोनों limits है upper limit और lower limit, उनमें जो difference है that is known as class intervals. Then we have class frequency. The number of observations corresponding to a particular class is known as frequency of that class. मतलब हर क्लास के corresponding क्या frequency है? Suppose 20 to 30 के corresponding we have frequency 10, 30 to 40 के corresponding we have 5, 40 to 50 के corresponding we have 7. So ये जो numbers लिखे हैं 10, 5 और 7, ये क्या है? Class frequency है. मतलब 20 to 30 का class frequency is 10, 30 to 40 class frequency is 5, 40 to 50 class frequency is 7, like this. Then we have class midpoint or class mark. Midpoint means it is the value lying halfway between the lower and the upper class limit of a class interval. So class midpoint, also called as class mark, is calculated as lower limit plus upper limit divided by 2. Lower limit plus upper limit divided by 2. This is called class midpoint or class mark. Here I have mentioned midpoint. Midpoint is equal to lower limit plus upper limit divided by 2. Okay. Then we have, these two are very important concept, inclusive type of classification and exclusive type of classification. This will be used throughout. इस आज के session के बाद next session when we'll start with median, with mode, this concept will be very helpful for us. Now, inclusive, as the name suggests, inclusive, मतलब we are including something. The classes in which both the upper and the lower limit are included are called inclusive classes. Inclusive से मतलब क्या है? Include करना. Include कर रहे हैं, किसको include कर रहे हैं? Both the classes, the lower limit and the upper limit. दोनों ही limits को अगर हम consider कर रहे हैं, include कर रहे हैं, then it is called inclusive classification. And if it is exclusive type of classification, then what we do? We exclude the upper limit and include it in the immediate next class. For example, suppose we have this class interval 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. Suppose ये class intervals है. So when we talk about inclusive type of classification, अब हमारे पास जो भी वैल्यू है फॉर इंक्लूजिंग 0 से लेके 10, मतलब 0 और 10 और इनके बीच की सारी वैल्यूज इसी क्लास में इंक्लूड होंगी. 0 से लेके इंक्लूसिव मतलब बोथ द क्लास लिमिट्स आर इंक्लूडेड. 0 भी इंक्लूड होगा, 10 भी इंक्लूड होगा और इनके बीच के जितने भी नंबर्स है वो सारे नंबर्स इंक्लूड होंगे. बट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट एक्सक्लूसिव क्लास इंटरवल, व्हाट वी डू, सपोज आपके पास नंबर आया 10. अब आपको 10 के लिए क्लास टेलीमार्क ड्रॉ करना है, तो आप 10 के लिए टेलीमार्क कहाँ ड्रॉ करोगे? नेक्स्ट क्लास में. दिस अपर लिमिट इज एक्सक्लूडेड. इस क्लास में कहाँ तक के नंबर्स हम इंक्लूड करेंगे? 0 to 9. और अगर आपके पास 10 आएगा, that will be included in the immediate next class. Similarly, अगर आपके पास suppose number आता है 20, so 20 will not be included here. It will be included in the immediate next class, 20 to 30. So when we talk about exclusive type of classification, we exclude the upper limit, and when we talk about inclusive type of classification, we include both the lower limit and the upper limit in that class. and in exclusive, we exclude the upper limit, and that is included in the immediate next class. So mostly we use exclusive type of classification until and unless it has been mentioned in the question that you have to do inclusive type of classification. You cannot do this. You will always have to do exclusive type of classification. Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay, let's proceed then. Prepare a frequency distribution of the marks obtained out of 100 for the following observations. Okay. So firstly, it is not mentioned whether you have to use the discrete frequency distribution or you have to make the continuous frequency distribution. But itni sari observations hai, we cannot write. See, the lowest value here is 15 and the highest value is 81. So it is not possible for us, or we can say it will be very time consuming कि हम 15 से लेके 81 तक सारी values लेके 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 and so on up to 81 इतनी values लेके वो time wastage है पूरा. So better we will make a continuous frequency distribution here. Okay, now सबसे पहले for this you have to decide which is the, you have to check what is the lowest value and what is the highest value. So lowest value here is 15, highest value here is 81. It's all up to you. You can take a class interval of 5, 5, you can take a class interval of 10, or you can take a class interval of 20. It's totally your choice until and unless mentioned. So here we have taken the class intervals 15, class intervals of 10. मतलब जो class intervals हम set करेंगे, that will start from 15 और 10, 10 का हम gap लेंगे सब में. So this is 15 to 25, 25 to 35, 35 to 45, 45 to 55, 55 to 65, 65 to 75, and 75 to 85. Why 85? 85 पे stop क्यों कर दिया? Because the highest number is 81. So 81 यहाँ तक आ जाएगा. 81 से बड़ा कोई number नहीं है, तो we don't require another class interval, or we can say next class interval. Then similar process, we have to draw the telemarks. So 15 will be included in this class interval 15 to 25. 45. Now, as you can see, 45 कहाँ कहाँ है? 45 यहाँ पर भी है, 45 यहाँ पर भी है. But we are using exclusive type of classification. So 45 will not be included here. Upper limits are excluded. 45 will be included in this class 45 to 55. Next number we have is 40. So 40 will be in this class 35 to 40. Then we have 42. 42 will also be in this class 35 to 45. Then we have 50. It lies in 45 to 50. Then we have 60. It will lie in 55 to 60. Then we have 62. It will lie also here 55 to 65. Then we have 68. 68 will lie in this class interval 65 to 75. Then we have 70. 70 will also come here. 42. 42 will come in the class interval 35 to 45. Then we have 75. Now 75 will not be included here since we are using exclusive type of classification. It will be included in the immediate next class. So 75 will come in the class interval 75 to 85. Then again we have 75, one more class in telemark. Then we have 80. 80 will also come here. Then we have 81. It will also come here. Then we have 25. 25 will not be included in 15 to 25. It will be included in the next class 25 to 35. Then we have 26. That will also come here. Then we have 31. That will also come here. Then we have 32. That will also come here. Then we have 78. So 4 telemarks are already there. Cut with a 5th telemark. Then we have 45. So 45 will not be included in 35 to 45 class. It will be included in 45 to 55. So telemark. Then we have 31. So 31 will come here. 25 to 35, already 4 telemarks. Then just cut it down. Then we have 45. 45 will come in 45 to 55. Then we have 42. 42 will come in the class interval 35 to 45. Then we have 43. 43 will also come here. Already we have 4 telemarks, so just cut it down. Then we have 43. 43, I think we have already done, right? Then we have 55. 55 will be included in 55 to 65. 56 will also be included in this class, 55 to 65. Then we have 78 that will become here. Then we have 80. 80 will come in this range. Then we have 81. 81 will also come in this range. Then we have 62. 62, it will come in the class interval 55 to 65. We already have 4 telemarks, just cut with 1 telemark. Then we have 60. 60 will also come in 55 to 60. Then we have 62, it will also come here. Then we have 58, it will also come here. Then we have 69. 69 will come in the class interval 65 to 75. Then we have 70, it will come again in this class interval. Then we have 45. So it will come here. We already have 4 telemarks, cut with the 1. Then we have 50. 50 will come in this range. Then we have 56 here. Then we have 72 will come here. We already have 4 telemarks, so just cut it down. Then we have 58. It will come here. 4 telemarks already there. 5th se cut kiya. Then we have 75. So it will come in the range 75 to 85. Then we have 62. It will come in the range 55 to 65. Again, we have 62. It will come in the range 55 to 65. Then we have 65. It will come here 65 to 75. Then we have 60. It will come here. Then we have 70. It will come here. Then we have 35. And 35 to 45. Then we have 37. It will come here. Then we have 40. It will come here. And lastly, we have 55. So it will be coming here. In this way, we have drawn all the telemarks. And lastly, we just have to count the number of telemarks and write down the frequency. So this is 1, 5, 5 and 3, 8, 5 and 1, 6, 5, 5, 10 and 4, 14, 5 and 2, 7, 5 and 4, 9. Total is 50. So this is how to make a continuous frequency distribution. Any doubt? Okay, let's proceed then. Next is relative frequency distribution. Relative frequency distribution, relative means हम एक frequency distribution का किसी के साथ relation define कर रहे हैं. Relative frequency distribution means अब हम क्या क्या consider करेंगे? हर class का frequency and the total number of observations, or you can say the total of frequencies. A relative frequency indicates how often a specific kind of event occurs within a total number of observations. It is a type of frequency that uses percentages, proportions, and fractions. Now, basically, we are finding the relationship between the class frequency and the total number of frequency in relative frequency distribution. Now, to convert a frequency distribution to a relative frequency distribution, each of the class frequencies is divided by the total number of frequencies so that the relative frequencies would always total 1. Now, please always keep this in mind. The total of relative frequencies will always be 1. Now, let us see how to do. This is an example for relative frequency. we have been given this frequency distribution. These are this class interval, marks are given, this frequency is given. We have to convert this into relative frequency. Okay, so what can we do? What we have to do, we have to divide each class frequency by the total number of frequency. Total of all the observations, 2 plus 5 plus 4 plus 5 plus 8 plus 8 plus 7 plus 5 plus 4 plus 2 is 50. To find out relative frequency, each frequency will be divided by the total number of frequency. So this this first relative frequency कैसे calculate किया हमने? 2 divided by 50, frequency divided by total number of frequency. Next, 5 divided by 50. Next, 4 divided by 50. Then 5 divided by 50. 8 divided by 50. 8 divided by 50. 7 divided by 50. 5 divided by 50. 4 divided by 50. 2 divided by 50. And this way we have obtained the relative frequency. Now, the total of these relative frequencies will always be 1. If it is not coming 1, then definitely there is some calculation error at your end. So always be very careful. After finding the relative frequency, just check their total. It should always be 1. So this is all about frequency distribution. What we have studied today. What is a frequency distribution? Then we have studied 2 types of variables, the discrete variable and the continuous variable. Then we have also studied about the formation of discrete and continuous variable. So any doubt to anyone till here, or can I start with graphs? Okay. So graphs of frequency distribution. Now, what is a graph? You all must have plotted graphs in your school times. So graph क्या है? जो आपको data given है, उसको आपने एक attractive figure के form में present किया, that is called a graph. एक diagrammatic representation दिया, that is called a graph. A graph is a visual form of representation of statistical data. It is more attractive than a table of figure. Comparisons can be made between 2 or more phenomena very easily with the help of a graph. Yes, अगर आपके सामने कोई 2 types of data है and you want to compare those 2 data, it can be done very easily with the help of graphs. अब आप कुछ भी बना सकते हो, उसमें हिस्टोग्राम बना सकते हो, लाइन ग्राफ बना सकते हो, बार डायग्राम बना सकते हो, पाई चार्ट बना सकते हो. You have a lot of options. So the data will be interpreted and understood easily when it is in the form of graphs. A frequency distribution can be represented graphically in any of the following ways. So in today's session, we will be covering the first 3: histogram, frequency polygon, and smooth frequency curve. And one more you have is ogives or cumulative frequency curves. So let us first discuss about histogram. Okay, can any one of you tell me which out of these 2 figures there in front of you, which one is histogram? The first one or the second one? Can you tell which one is a histogram, the first figure or the second figure? No? Okay. So this, the first diagram, this is a हिस्टोग्राम. ओके, जब भी आप हिस्टोग्राम बनाते हैं, देयर इज दैट्स अ क्लोज्ड फिगर. क्लोज्ड फिगर मींस जो ये वर्टिकल रेक्टेंगुलर बार्स हैं, इन बार्स के बीच में कोई भी गैप नहीं होता है. ऑल द बार्स आर एडजेसेंट टू ईच अदर. सारे बार्स एक दूसरे से कनेक्टेड होते हैं. देयर इज नो गैप बिटवीन द टू rectangular bars. So this first diagram is a histogram. A histogram is a graph showing the frequency of occurrence of each value of the variable being analyzed. Okay. In histogram, the data are plotted as a series of rectangles. अब हम histogram में कैसे क्या plot करते हैं? जब भी आपने histogram plot करना है, this is your x-axis and this is your y-axis. Now, the length of each, or you can say the height of each rectangular bar, ये जो rectangular bar है, इनका height क्या represent कर रहा है? Particular class का frequency. So on x-axis, we represent the class intervals and we show the frequencies on the y-axis, and the length of each rectangular bar represents the frequency of the class. हर क्लास की क्या फ्रीक्वेंसी है वो हम रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं. वो रिप्रेजेंट करता है रेक्टेंगुलर बार की हाइट. And a histogram is a closed figure. All the rectangular bars are adjacent to each other. It is also called a staircase or a block diagram. Okay, so let us make a histogram now. Represent the following data by a histogram. We have this data, class interval 0 to 10, 10 to 20, and so on up to we have 90 to 100, or number of students given है. मतलब those students who secured marks between 0 to 10 are 8. The number of students who secured marks between 10 to 20 is 12. इस data को हम इस तरह से read करते हैं, and we have to make a histogram of this data. So for that, what you have to do, you have to draw a histogram like this way. This is your x-axis, this is your y-axis. Class intervals में आपको 10-10 का gap given है, तो start with 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Then you have the minimum frequency as 5, and you have the maximum frequency as 60. So either you can take 10-10 intervals gap, or you can take 5-5. So I'm taking here 10-10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. This is my y-axis. Here I'm representing number of students, and here I'm representing marks, or you can say class intervals. Now, the first class, 0 to 10, the number of students are 8. So, 1, 8. Then 10 to 20, there are 12. So, 12. 20 to 30, there are 22. Then 30 to 40, we have 35. 40 to 50, we have 40. 50 to 60, we have maximum 60. 60 to 70, we have 52. 70 to 80, we have 40. 80 to 90, it's 30. And 90 to 100, it's 5. So I have not taken the proper measurements and scale. When you will draw with the scale and pencil, you will get exact figure. So this is how your histogram looks like. It is always the closed figure. The length of the rectangular bar represents the frequency of the class. The marks, or you can say the class intervals, are represented on x-axis, that is the horizontal one, and y-axis, the vertical one. The frequencies are represented on it. Next we have is frequency polygon. Okay. A frequency polygon is a graph of frequency distribution. It has more than 4 sides. It is particularly effective in comparing 2 or more frequency distributions. So frequency polygon is mostly effective when we want to compare 2 frequency distributions, and it will have more than 4 sides. Now, there are 2 ways to construct a frequency polygon. First one is draw a histogram of the given data and then join by straight line the midpoints of the upper horizontal side of each rectangle with the adjacent ones. The figure so obtained is called frequency polygon. क्या मतलब हुआ इसका? Draw the histogram, मतलब जो भी आपको डेटा गिवन है उस डेटा से you have to plot the you have to plot the histogram. Suppose this is your histogram. Then you have to mark the midpoint of each rectangular bar, horizontal side of the rectangular bar. ये midpoints आपने mark किए. ठीक है, ये midpoints mark करने के बाद by straight lines you have to join all these points. This is known as a frequency polygon. Second method we have is another method of constructing frequency polygon is to take the midpoint of the various class intervals and then plot the frequencies corresponding to each point. Join all these points by the straight lines. The figure so formed is a frequency polygon. Second method क्या है? So this method is without histogram. You don't have to make the histogram. What you have to do, you have to mark the midpoint of each class interval. Frequency plot करनी है. Suppose this is your frequency. Just join all these points by straight lines and this is your frequency polygon. So let us see how to plot a frequency polygon. Draw a histogram and the frequency polygon from the following data. This data is given to you. Again, you have marks and the number of students given to you. Class interval starting from 0 to 10 till 90 to 100. Okay, so first you have to draw a histogram, then you have to make this frequency polygon. Okay, so now you can see here the class intervals are unequal. 0 to 10, 10 to 20, then we have 20 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70. Then again we have 70 to 90 and 90 to 100. Means there are 2 class intervals, 20 to 40 and 70 to 90. These 2 classes are having a class limit of 20 और बाकी सब में 10 का difference था, and these 2 class have a difference of 20. Okay, so what we can do, we can divide this into 2 parts. This 20 to 40 can be divided into 20 to 30 and 30 to 40, and the frequency will be divided by 2. So 14 divided by 2 is 7 and 7. So now the class intervals are 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. हमने क्या किया, सारे class intervals में 10-10 का gap था, but there are 2 class intervals 20 to 40 and 70 to 90 जिसमें 20 का gap था, तो हमने उसको भी 10-10 के gap में convert किया. We have broke this class interval 20 to 40 into two parts, 20 to 30 and 30 to 40, और individually दोनों class का frequency क्या हो गया 7. Now how 7? We have divided this frequency 14 equally between the two class intervals. Similarly, for 70 to 90, we will do 70 to 80 and 80 to 90, and this frequency 16 will be divided by 2. So for 70 to 80, the frequency will be 8, and for 80 to 90, the frequency will be 8. Now we will draw this graph. Okay, so firstly हमने histogram plot किया, which we have already studied. Histogram कैसे plot करना है अपने हिस्टोग्राम सारे डेटा का प्लॉट किया. उसके बाद फ्रीक्वेंसी पॉलीगन के लिए व्हाट यू हैव टू डू, यू हैव टू मार्क द मिड पॉइंट ऑफ ईच रेक्टेंगुलर बार. ये जो रेक्टेंगुलर बार का हॉरिजॉन्टल साइड है, मतलब सपोज दिस इज योर रेक्टेंगुलर बार, तो इसका ये जो हॉरिजॉन्टल पॉइंट है, इसका मिड पॉइंट यू हैव टू मार्क फॉर ईच रेक्टेंगुलर बार. आपने और फाइनली उन सारे पॉइंट्स को ज्वाइन कर दीजिए स्ट्रेट लाइन से, एंड द फिगर सो ऑब्टेन्ड इज योर फ्रीक्वेंसी पॉलीगन. एनी डाउट टू एनीवन? Next is smooth frequency curve. Now, smooth frequency curve is just like frequency polygon. Same, आपको mid points mark करने हैं. Smooth frequency polygon में what we have done, we have joined all the points by a straight line. हमने straight line से सारे points को join किया था. But अगर आप उन्हीं सारे mid points को if you join by a free hand by a curve, then it is called a smooth frequency curve. A smooth frequency curve can be drawn through the various points of the polygon. आपने suppose these are the midpoints. So in midpoints को straight line की जगह अगर आपने curve की तरह free hand से join किया, this is your smooth frequency curve. The curve is drawn free hand in such a manner that the area included under the curve is approximately same as that of the polygon. So up frequency polygon and frequency curve. Frequency polygon आपने straight line से सारे points join किए, frequency curve एक free hand से curve join किया. But जो दोनों frequency polygon and the frequency curve, इन दोनों के अंदर जो area cover हुआ, that is approximately same. The curve should look as regular as possible and sudden turns should be avoided. For drawing a smooth frequency curve, it is necessary to first draw the polygon and then smooth it out. पहले आप frequency polygon बनाएंगे, उस frequency polygon को smooth कर देंगे, then you will get smooth frequency curve. Represent the following frequency distribution by means of a histogram and superimpose thereon the corresponding frequency polygon and frequency curve. Okay, so सबसे पहले you have to make a histogram of this data, then you have to draw frequency polygon, and then lastly you have to draw this frequency curve. Now first let us check the class intervals. सब में same difference है या नहीं? 3000 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 12. So only this class interval, इसमें ही difference ज़्यादा है. So we will break it down into two parts. 10,000 to 11,000 and 11,000 to 12,000, and the frequency will be divided by 2. So each class will have a frequency of 20. Okay, so after this, you have to make a histogram. Histogram banane ke baad just mark the midpoints of each rectangular bar, horizontal side of each rectangular bar. Join all the points by the straight line, then it is your frequency polygon. And then join all these points by a smooth hand. This will be your frequency curve. So any doubt to anyone? Any doubt to anyone in this? Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you so much. If you have any doubt, we can clear it in the next session. Just go through it. Thank you. You're welcome.